What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. Wait
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just like very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Welcome everybody. I am Will Bird, and this is the Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I didn't go live last night. We went to the water park, and then my aunt actually passed away while we were at the water park. So I didn't go live last night, but I'm back now. So we're here. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. My dad's sister passed away suddenly, and I don't know. I used to do better with like death and stuff until my mom and dad passed away, and now I just I can't handle most of it, especially when it's like my dad's brother or my dad's sister. She lived here locally, and my dad went and hung out with her, stayed with lived with her for a little bit, and she had surgery because they found cancer on her ovaries or something. So she had a hysterectomy, which is, it sucks to say, but that's one of the better cancers to get, because they do a hysterectomy, right? They remove everything as long as it hasn't spread, then you're good. And she was actually she went to the hospital, had the surgery, no signs of infection, nothing, everything was fine, and they sent her home. And the day they sent her home, she collapsed and died. She was having chest pains. Her daughter was there. She went to the bathroom, and then she called for her daughter while she was in the bathroom, and said that she got out. Basically, her chest hurt and she was having trouble breathing. And then they called the EMT, and she just collapsed. They said it was probably. They're going to have to do an autopsy, but they said it's probably a pulmonary embolism, is what the EMT said. They did, there were 6 people there. They did the 6 EMTs and first responders or whatever, and they did CPR for 30 minutes with no response back. So, but when they first got on the scene, they said that she talked to him. She told him that she basically got out that her chest was hurting, and then she felt like she couldn't catch her breath. But it was unrelated to the surgery. Like, I was afraid, like, she had an infection or she did this or you know, ripped open a scar or something, but it was completely unrelated to the surgery. All that was good. Maybe the stress from the surgery, I guess, could maybe cause, like, some heart stuff, but I don't know. So that's all going on. Hers Tuesday. I think I told Mariah. Tuesday is her little thing, funeral thing. So there you go. Yeah, so it's pulmonary embolism is common after surgeries. It's internal surgeries or internal injuries, because it's a blood clot that basically travels to your heart, I guess. So if you have a surgery, an internal injury, obviously you're going to have blood clots. And if a blood clot's big enough and travels through your heart and creates a blockage, that's just it. So there you go. That's why I wasn't live last night. And we're back today. So that's the update. We did have fun at the water park. We got like one of the covered pavilion things. So we could store our shit there and have a place to hang out. The kids went on all the slides, played in all the pools. It was fun. They start back school tomorrow, so it was the last big hurrah before summer or whatever. or before summer ends, I guess, before school starts. Either way, thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, I'm Will Bard. This is Cold Beer Confessional. Thank you guys for joining us. YouTube restored another one of my channels. So right now the 6,000 subscriber CBC Anon is back restored. I'm kind of worried about what the fuck. What is that old? Is that all Trump supporting content? I don't know how old some of these channels are. Well, I guess it's been a long time since I supported Trump, but it hasn't been that long since I was just like ignoring him and going, not even speaking about him because I felt so fucking shitty about it. So it is what it is. Either way, we got this update from Brian Tyler Cohen's YouTube channel. The FBI claims that they're going to support the bid of Texas to go return their legislators from Illinois back to Texas. Oh, shit. Oh, I got to get you some audio. Hold on. I'm an idiot. I was reading something.
Chicago, Illinois. So first and foremost, you and I have spoken about the legality of this move. Obviously, it's not legal to weaponize the DOJ to do the political bidding of these politicians. And so how do you deal with the disparity between the fact that A, it's not illegal, but B, it's happening anyway?
Right. So look, I said in no uncertain terms that the FBI is not going to be able to retrieve these people, and I stand by that. Okay, that is.
Yeah, that was kind of like I guess a anti-red pill for me. Like before everything got super publicized. And I used to talk, when I was in the Army, I talked to like people that were above me, right? And I was young, right? I didn't know much about the economy, really didn't know much about politics other than what I'd been raised. And I used to ask like sergeants and above about like finances and politics and blah, 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 or who they were voting for, whatever. And I got told by so many people that they were Republican, but the most money they ever made in their life was under Bill Clinton. I guess because they were just in that right age group at the time. And when you go look at the data, it seems like the economy does so much better under Democrats. Like Republicans kick and scream or whatever. And even usually Republican wins are something that a Democrat put in place that is just finally coming full circle. It's wild. And how that can be their platform, the Republicans' platform, and they do so poorly with it. Or people go like complain about prices. They're like, we got to get Trump in there. And then he raises prices on everything. I don't understand it at all.
That remains my position, and you will now all have it on 2 videos. You can go watch the last one where I said it, and this one you can bookmark as well. It is one thing for Kash Patel to go along with this charade that John Cornyn set up because he is running for Senate against Ken Paxton, so he needed to come up with some cockamamie bullshit thing that makes it seem like he's upping the ante. It's one thing for Kash Patel to say, fine, like, yes, I got your letter, and we'll do. We're gonna help track these people down. It is another thing though for the FBI to actually take affirmative steps to essentially kidnap these people or somehow arrest them for what I don't know, and drag them out of the state of Illinois back to Texas. The governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, has already said that this won't happen on his watch, and I believe him. He's one of the big fighters for democracy right now. But there's also just like the practical reality, which is that these FBI agents, joined the bureau to investigate crimes, and there just isn't a basis in a way in which they're going to get Chicago FBI agents to go find these people and then somehow literally throw them in the back of a van. Now I realize you're going to say, yes, Mark, that's exactly what this government does. But throw them in the back of a van and drive them to Texas. I mean, I think that is my bet is still against that happening. I think that what Kash Patel will probably announce in the coming days is we have found them. You asked us to go find them. We have found them. Now, of course, we all know where they are because
right. We've also found them because they've come.
Yeah, they're posted on social media where they're at.
Forward and said they're in Chicago. So
right.
Well, to that point, and I know that the lines have been blurred here because we have watched ICE agents across the country need no pretext of a crime to be able to throw people in the back of a van and just drive off with them. So we have kind of seen state-sanctioned kidnapping occur. But in a normal world, Does there need to be some rationale, some legal rationale for the FBI to be able to touch anybody? Because the reality is that these Texas legislators have not committed a crime. They're making use of a tool to bring about some political end, right? Like quorum breaks are a tool that's been used since the 18th.
Sure. So what crime are they committing? Like if the FBI, let's say the FBI shows up in Chicago and they say, hey, you got to come with us. And they say, no, we're not leaving. And they say, well, we're going to use force to make you go back to Texas. What crime? Under what crime?
1800s. It's not a crime to be able to do that. And in fact, there are fines put in place which kind of legitimizes the use of quorum breaking as a tool, but it's not illegal. And so does the FBI need some type of actual crime to be able to put their hands on anybody?
So, I mean, there are several layers of the reasons why this would be completely, like, crazily out of bounds. The first, as you say, there's no crime. The second is, even if there were a crime, it would be a state crime. Like, the FBI is not like the roving enforcer of state laws. Like, that isn't like the FBI investigates federal crimes. That's what the FBI does. It's part of the federal Department of Justice. It is not like if you are, the Utah Attorney General and you are like, we have a shoplifter who is, violated Utah's anti-shoplifting statute. They don't get to call the FBI and be like, hey, go start a manhunt, around the country for our shoplifter. Like, that just isn't the role of the FBI. It's not within the jurisdiction of the FBI. So even, Brian, if there were a crime in Texas, let's say there was a warrant, or an indictment handed up by a grand jury in Texas state court, the FBI still wouldn't have a role here because this is a state offense. This is not a federal offense. At that point, what would happen is the state of Texas would reach out to their counterparts in Illinois and say, hey, we've arrested someone. We have a valid warrant. We need you to enforce it. It's sometimes referred to as domesticating it, to bring it from one state to the other. I don't know what would happen in that case here. Normally, states cooperate with each other. There are a lot of reasons why they do. In this instance, perhaps the governor of Illinois or the AG of Illinois wouldn't, but that would be like an abnormal dispute. The idea that somehow the FBI, that Kash Patel is involved in this, it is both illustrative of how absolutely batshit crazy the Republican Party has become, how absolutely lazy the legacy media has become, and how completely insane Republicans in Texas are, that John Cornyn thinks that the way he can help win his Senate primary against Ken Paxton is to say, well, all Ken Paxton tries to do is strip these people of their seats by going to the courts and saying that they've been
I'm going to have them kidnapped. I'm going to have them kidnapped by the FBI.
I was for kidnapping.
Yeah. I think it's clear that
in Texas, where it's all about your rights, right? Nobody's going to take me illegally. Go take those legislators illegally.
Kash Patel is not above doing something just because it's out of bounds or outside of his jurisdiction or even illegal as it relates to the FBI. And so in the event that the FBI actually does go to Chicago and he finds some people willing to drive up in a van and scoop these people up, what are we looking at then? What kind of recourse do they have? I mean, how do you fight against a federal government? Like, this is the federal government. The executive branch is supposed to be upholding the laws. What happens when they're the ones breaking them?
Scatter.
Yeah, so it's a fair question because, look, if you had asked me 6 months ago, and as you know, I've been among the most cynical about the Trump administration. I've been among the people sounding
They should put fucking one of them in every U.S. state.
The loudest alarm bells that the Trump administration will do just about anything to stay in power, that they won't pay attention to the law. So it's a fair point.
So what they're saying so far is all the FBI has agreed to, Kash Patel agreed to help locate them, but we know where they're at. If it goes beyond that, we're fucking cooked, dude. If they start arresting people,
that you make that we should not discount the absolutely impossible. And if you'd asked me a few months ago whether I thought that they would body slam a U.S. senator to the ground for trying to ask a question of the Secretary of Homeland Security when she gave a press conference in her state, I would have said no. If you had asked me would they be indicting Democratic members of Congress for trying to visit ICE facilities in New Jersey, I would have said no. So let's play this through on the terms in which you said. So if they grabbed these folks, the first thing that would happen is someone would on their behalf would run to federal court and file a petition for a writ of habeas corpus, which basically is what happens when you believe that the federal government is wrongly detaining someone. So a writ of habeas corpus is literally asking a federal judge to force the government to produce the person, the body, and if you translate from the Latin, the person themselves to the court. Like, bring this person to my courtroom and explain to me why you are holding them. And, like the FBI could try to beat themselves, beat the clock by getting outside the state of Illinois before that writ could be filed and executed. And again, I'm not discounting that as a possibility. We actually saw that in some of the detention cases where where ICE was clearly trying to get these people out of places like Massachusetts and Vermont and get them into Louisiana because they thought it would be a harder place to file a habeas petition in the Fifth Circuit than in those places.
Speaking of moving states, I saw on Bert's show the other night, we didn't touch on it, but he claims that Dan Bongino posted that the grand jury, which is super secretive, even where it takes place, who's involved, what's going on, when it happens, the grand jury is going to convene in Florida for the Obama 2016 stuff. And the reason that they can have a grand jury in Florida is because Mar-a-Lago was raided several years later and it exists in Florida. So that doesn't make any sense. You can't just pick where you're going to have a grand jury when the crimes are committed in a specific location, allegedly committed in a specific location. But they'll never get a conviction in D.C. They know it.
So that would be the first thing that would happen. The second thing that would be happening if that failed is that they would be presumably returned to the state of Texas and then what? Released, right? They'd be released. Like the FBI will have like kidnapped them to return them to the state of Texas. But then what?
We've seen instances where, to relate this to ICE, where these ICE officers are waiting in the courtrooms for these
Even if they're in the state of Texas, what if they don't show up?
These immigrants who are going to their hearings, their regularly scheduled hearings. I mean, wouldn't it be the same thing where we already have these warrants out in Texas, and these Texas officials have put out the orders for, I believe it's like some iteration of the sergeant or DPS,
It's hard to tell. I mean, so they could go somewhere if they got a really, really favorable grand jury. They could potentially bring an indictment against whoever. So a grand jury, you don't get any defense, right? They could literally make up evidence and show it at a grand jury and get an indictment. Typically, prosecutors don't do that because you don't want to go to a grand jury and then lose the fucking case so crazy, right? Like not even close to having a case, but they could literally make up evidence and submit it to a grand jury.
DPS was told to go after these Texas officials, but they can only do that where they have jurisdiction, which is to say in Texas. And so if the FBI grabs these people out of Illinois,
I don't think it's about Obama. I think it's about all the people around Obama.
And just drops them off in Texas, then they can release them from their custody.
None of them deserve to be charged. None of them are going to be convicted. There's no evidence there. But they need good press, and the good press is, oh, we took down so-and-so. He's Obama's number 3 in charge or whatever, kind of deal.
They don't even have to go to these Texas officials, these Texas Democrats don't even have to go to court and for a writ of habeas corpus. They can just get released immediately and the FBI can say we're done, but then there's going to be DPS officials waiting to pick them up. Do you think that strategy carries any water?
But the whole theory of what the Republicans are trying to do is to force these Democrats to attempt.
I don't know if you guys remember the Durham report. When the Durham report that came out and that one fucking guy ended up saying that like he had not been entirely truthful with the FBI or some shit like that. And he was a lawyer who worked for a company who represented Hillary Clinton's campaign for a little bit, and that was it. They're like, he's the linchpin. As soon as he falls, they're going after Hillary and Biden and Obama, and they're going to get him all. And it was just some no-name guy that really, it seems like he made a mistake, and that was about it.
A legislative session. Like, I feel like the Republicans have lost the plot. On the one hand, what they claim to want is that these Democrats stop breaking quorum. To stop breaking quorum, it requires them to be in the legislature. If you arrest them, they are not in the legislature. Like, there's still no quorum. They still can't pass their redistricting map. So, like, it feels like there is a bizarro land quality to this whole thing, because the reason why what the speaker, the Republican speaker of the state house wants is for the local police or the state police to get these officials and bring them to the Capitol, not to arrest them, but to bring them to the Capitol. I mean, it's arrest of sorts, right? It's physical taking possession, bring them to the Capitol to make them be in this hearing. And in the meantime, you still have the governor, Greg Abbott, and you still have Ken Paxton, the attorney general, squabbling with each other over who gets to sue, right? That's still going on. But they both want the court to declare these seats vacant, and so that then these members.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, there was also one of the guys was Kevin Kleinsmith, who is the guy who was accused of altering an email for the Pfizer wiretap stuff on Carter Page. I forgot about that guy too. He got 12 months probation, 400 hours of community service. Michael Sussman is who I was thinking of. Michael Sussman was acquitted from Perkins Coie.
Are no longer members of the legislature, at which point, like, why wouldn't you just leave them in Illinois, right? Because at that point, you don't even need them to. Like, you don't want them back because they don't actually have a seat in the legislature. So what you have is a Republican Party in disarray in Texas. They're all working at sort of different theories and cross purposes in some instances because they're all trying to claim the limelight for their cockamamie idea. But as you said, breaking quorum is not an unprecedented thing in this country. It's not an unprecedented thing not only in Texas, not an unprecedented thing in other legislative bodies in the country. And so in some ways,
yeah, it happens all the time. It's a tool that they have to bring attention to an issue as well as to refuse to bring a vote.
ourselves to offer a legitimacy to these desperate measures that Texas Republicans are under, because we think that maybe they're being super smart. They're not being super smart. They're being desperate. They're being disorganized. And they are being authoritarian. And I grant you that last part, with it comes a lot of risk, because that could then spiral out in a lot of bad ways. And we've seen that when you are desperate and you are an authoritarian, you're trying to show force, innocent people can get harmed. And so I take that seriously. But I think everyone needs to stay grounded and realize that if the FBI did what you are worried about, that, frankly, I'm worried about, that John Cornyn wants, we would have a constitutional crisis of a different magnitude, a different order. The question would be, is the Federal Bureau of Investigations engaged in the kidnapping of legislators? I mean, like, where does that end, Ryan?
Yeah. Well, look, you have been a leader in terms of being outspoken about these risks, as you mentioned, from the very beginning up until right now. So highly recommend for anybody who's watching right now, please elevate Mark's voice in this ecosystem. Subscribe to his YouTube channel, Democracy Docket. I'm going to put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, but it's a great way to support his work and get his voice in front of as many people as possible, especially folks who are just coming into this YouTube ecosystem for the first time. I'm Brian Taylor Cohen.
I'm Mark Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.
There you go. I don't know. I don't think they're actually going to, surely they're not going to roll agents into Chicago to pick these people up, but they're going to locate them and then say, okay, well, we found out they're in Chicago. They should go back home. I don't think they're going to be snatching people out and throwing them in vans. I think that's a wild escalation if we get to that.
Breaking news, the new head of Paramount telling CNN he is standing by South Park after another utterly scathing episode about the Trump administration.
Oh, no. Not another one.
The latest episode hitting a nerve, prompting Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem to publicly respond to South Park's unflattering portrayal of her. Here she is with Glenn Beck.
Yes, because the reason the Republicans did it on the federal level is because they're in charge, so they can just vote to go home. The reason that the Democrats couldn't do that in Texas is because they're not in charge. So the only thing they can do is just not show up. And if enough people don't show up that they don't have enough for quorum, then they can't bring anything to the table.
Because sometimes
Yeah, it never ends, but it's so lazy to just constantly make fun of women for how they look. Only the liberals and the extremists do that. If they wanted to...
Only the liberals and extremists make fun of women for how they look. Have you met Trump?
Criticize my job, go ahead and do that, but clearly they can't. They just pick something petty like that.
South Park, which has not let up on its brutal criticism of Trump week after week, is the #1 streamed show in the United States right now. The #1 streamed show. So people are watching this. And that is something the White House, which tried to dismiss the show as irrelevant and saying no one watched it, which of course is factually inaccurate, they don't want to hear it. Brian Stelter is out front.
Hey, Satan! Meet the new face of Homeland Security.
Whoa! Oh my God! I just want to go. This place is gross.
South Park, insulting.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but JD Vance comes in as like a fucking puppy or some shit.
The new face of Homeland Security.
Whoa! Oh my God! I just want to go. This place is gross.
A baby with lotion? I don't know what the fuck that was. It was a tiny little JD Vance. I have not seen the episode.
South Park, insulting Mar-a-Lago, Trump's manhood, VP JD Vance.
There he is.
This week.
Oh, he's like the little guy. The plane kind of guy. Okay.
Most of it scoring for...
Welcome to the team, recruit.
Our makeup team backing away. Hold on.
Insulting Mar-a-Lago, Trump's manhood, VP JD Vance. And this week, reserving most of it scoring for...
Her makeup team scatters.
Team recruits. I'm Kristi Noem, head of Homeland Security.
The show drawing from a real-life scandal.
A few years ago, I had to put my puppy down by shooting it in the face. Because sometimes doing what's important means doing what's hard.
Turning dog deaths into a theme of the episode.
Mr. Mackey?
When Trump budget cuts caused the school counselor to look for a job with ICE.
All right, recruit.
Everybody's got a mask on.
We're heading to a location that might be filled with illegals. Let's take these bad hombres down.
South Park emerging this summer.
She said we're headed to a place that might be full of illegals. Let's take these bad hombres down. And then it cuts to the Dora the Explorer live show on stage.
As one of the Trump administration's fiercest critics.
Remember, only detain the brown ones.
One reviewer saying, you can feel Matt Stone and Trey Parker's disdain in every frame.
I gotta watch it now.
Creators of South Park let it rip 2 weeks ago. leading the White House to claim the show.
You know, a lot of people thought that Trump's talking penis was like AI or like computer generated or whatever. It wasn't. They showed how they really filmed it and whose finger was the penis and all that shit.
Quote, hasn't been relevant for over 20 years. But actually...
Hey, buddy, welcome to Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President.
What is it fantasy, Buff? Hey, will you get out of here?
South Park ratings are way up.
I want to make you the new face of Homeland Security.
But, Mr. President, I thought Kristi Noem was the face of Homeland Security.
Well, she was, but her face freaks me out. So what do you say?
And social chatter is through the roof.
I'm proud to work for the ICE.
Immigration.
Saying proud while they carry their mask, put their mask back on.
Customs enforcement. If you need a job, it's a job to have.
If you need a job, it's a job to have. There's JD Vance says, well, I finally made it.
And Trump officials are trying to show they're in on the jokes, not just the butt of them. Vance posting on X today, well, I've finally made it.
So let's get out there and get them, recruits. Together we can make it happen.
All
The music's like an old-timey like World War II recruitment video.
this creating corporate intrigue since South Park airs on Paramount's Comedy Central, and Paramount just cut a deal with Trump. The $16 million legal settlement was widely seen as a payoff in exchange for the Trump FCC.
To be fair, I'm surprised that Paramount is siding with South Park, right? Because they already fucking laid down on everything else to try and get their merger through.
Approving Paramount's merger with Skydance.
But I guess now that they got it, I don't know.
Though Paramount denied any connection. The merger took effect this morning, with the FCC's lone Democrat, Anna Gomez, calling it a company born in shame.
What we saw in this Paramount Skydance transaction was the company capitulated in a very cowardly manner to the demands of this administration. We need a checked power, not unchecked power, in order to maintain our democratic norms.
So Gomez telling CNN the media moguls
Chinga la migra. That's right.
recently canceled big-name Trump critic Stephen Colbert's show. So what about South Park? Well, today I asked the company's new CEO, David Ellison, if South Park's scathing Trump criticism is a problem for the company. Ellison indicated, no, it's not. He praised the show's creators. He told me he's been a fan of the show for decades. And he said, quote, they are equal opportunity offenders and always have been. There is one big difference between Stephen Colbert and South Park. The Late Show was losing money for years, while South Park is, in Ellison's words, highly profitable and a huge hit on streaming. Aaron?
I bet you South Park's making a ton of money right now.
Yeah, #1 stream show in America right now. All right, Brian, thank you very much. And out front now, the one and only Kara Swisher, host of the podcasts On with Kara Swisher and Pivot. And Kara, so all this, talk of David Ellison defending South Park, you were actually with him today. You were with David Ellison and the whole management team earlier today. And he's standing by South Park. I mean, do you buy that in the context of Colbert and everything else?
Well, that was the previous administration. They just bought it this morning. Just remember, it was early this morning where the transaction completed. So they didn't own it until today. So now they can talk about it. And he supported it there. He certainly did. And as he said, he's a fan of it. It's funny. So and it's a big hit. And the previous owners paid $20 billion, I guess, to keep them there. And so they have to support them. They're in business with South Park, and South Park is funny. And so I think they won't have a problem supporting them in this case. In this case, because it makes money.
So as you say, right, and as he said, #1 show on streaming. I mean, it'd be pretty hard to find an excuse to get rid of that one, even if you were looking for it. But that merger did just close today, right? And it's gotten. Right. It's gotten so much attention because of all this, right? It took a whole lot to actually get to where we are right now, including that $16 million settlement with Trump against CBS and 60 Minutes, canceling Colbert, which, of course, they did say was a financial decision. But obviously, one Trump applauded and has now said that was so great, get rid of all these other late night hosts on other networks. They eliminated the DEI program.
I think they don't stream, they don't release them to Paramount Plus. They air on Comedy Central, and then the very next day they're on Paramount Plus.
They created a new ombudsman to field complaints of bias. And Ellison today said, quote, today marks day one of a new Paramount. So, Kara, I mean, just, call it like you see it. Is this new Paramount, when people are worried about free press and corporate CEOs bending the knee to Trump, is Paramount about pleasing Trump?
I think that we'll see. We'll have to see. They just bought it. I can't, ultimately, a lot of those deals you were talking about, they were all Sherry Redstone in order to get the deal done. She wanted to get her money. She had a declining asset. It went from 8 to 10, her value. And so she did all those deals, the previous group of people who owned it. Now we'll see what he does when he owns it and what he thinks about it. He definitely went out of his way today to be non-political whatsoever. He would not answer questions about that. He did give support to journalism. He did give support to CBS News. His first meeting was with CBS News and 60 Minutes. So and he said that's an indication. If that's an indication, that's who I met with first. George Cheeks, who runs the network, defended the closing of the Colbert Show as a monetary financial one. Other people argue with him about that, but he did continue with that line today. We'll see. We'll have to see. You can't say someone's going to do something until they actually do it. And so they've put a lot of money in here, including the Ellisons. So we'll see what happens when they do that.
I remember, Kara, you and I, various conversations we've had so far this year. We talked about inauguration and, how Zuckerberg's there and Tim Cook is there and Bezos is there and everybody was there to be on the right side of Trump. So then caught my eye yesterday in the middle of, Trump was answering questions talking about Epstein being a hoax, okay? But the person, I looked at first an image and I said, wait, what's Tim Cook doing there? Because it all happened when Tim Cook was there. Jim Cook went to see Trump, CEO of Apple.
That's Tim Apple.
In the center of the whole tariff imbroglio, and he gives Trump a plaque. And the plaque happens to come on a 24-karat gold base. So when Cook hands it to Trump, his hands are almost.
I'm just saying. You're saying it happened.
Okay, his hands are trembling a little bit.
They picked it for that. They picked the gold.
Yeah. So. And he talked about, he said, it was made in the United States, right, for Trump. It wasn't imported from China. It was designed by a former U.S. Marine who works at Apple. So, look, this whole Trump and Cook being together, and Trump now said, gosh, this is so amazing. Cook is so amazing. So different than what he was saying about Cook in May and the center of the tariff war. Here's what he said.
I had a little problem with Tim Cook yesterday. I said to him, Tim, you're my friend. I treated you very good. You're coming in with $500 billion, but now I hear you're building all over India. I don't want you building in India.
Now he's got the plaque and everything. I mean, is this what it takes to do business with Trump? You got to go in, have this personal meeting, and
yes.
have a really fancy gold plaque.
It shouldn't, right? Somebody should call it out, but yes.
Yes, that's what it takes to do business with Trump. I don't know what to say. I mean, obviously, it was kind of laughable. And, Tim is a very strong CEO. He's done very well by his shareholders, and he's focused on his shareholders. And what it takes to give Donald Trump a trinket, he'll give him a trinket. That's just really what's happening here. They have said they were going to invest various amounts of money previously and made announcements, and that haven't really become that big. A lot of these things are press releases for these companies in order to get on the good side of Trump. It will satisfy Trump, and then he may give him a break on tariffs. He's done that before. Apple is very exposed in China and other places, and so they've got to get some relief. And so if what he has to do is visit Donald Trump and hand him another piece of gold for that office, he's going to do it. And so are all these people. I know you're shocked, but you're shocked that gambling is going on in this place.
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked. I guess it makes sense. They're doing the right thing for their company, but of course, there's the right thing in the small, and that might be the wrong thing in the big. I guess it's the struggle with all of that. All right, Kara, thank you so much.
They have shareholders. Just remember that, and that's their constituency, whether you like it or not. So.
Right. All right, Kara, thank you very much.
Damn. Tim Apple. Bending the knee, huh? I want to show you a tweet that caused a mini MAGA civil war. Basically, this tweet came out, okay? And it was all women, all MAGA women. So this tweet comes out, and it's Sarah Stock, and she shared this, and I think it said, I won, right? It's an engagement photo. It said, I won at the top. Another MAGA influencer, I use 24-karat gold speaker stands, wink. That's right. Another MAGA influencer made fun of how small the ring is, how small the stone is, I guess, right? That's where we're at, okay? Now, just be aware. This is what's going on. And I'm going to read you the story of what happened. A jab between the size of an engagement ring, a jab about the size of an engagement ring has turned into a war of words between right-wing online influencers. The civil war devolved into bitter and bizarre personal attacks, with the combatants hurling insults and allegations about each other's relationships, and sex lives. It all began with a seemingly innocuous post showing off an engagement ring. The post was made by Sarah Stock, a self-described Christian nationalist and contributor to the right-wing news site Rift TV. She made waves earlier this year when she won one of 20 MAGA devotees who debated progressive, when she was one of 20 MAGA devotees who debated progressive commentator Sam Cedar in a video for the YouTube channel Jubilee. She was on the Sam Cedar debate. The photo, which showed the ring on Stock's hand, was announcing her engagement. Quote, "I won," she wrote in the caption. That was it. Many of the responses to the post offered their congratulations. However, not everyone in the right-wing influence community felt the same way. One critique came from Hannah Pearl Davis. Hannah Pearl Davis is a YouTuber and influencer. She goes by Just Pearly Things, and we've covered her before. Okay? Just Pearly Things, another right-wing influencer and commentator on whose YouTube channel has more than 2 million subscribers. Davis is an avowed anti-feminist who has been described as the female Andrew Tate. She accused Stock of getting engaged to bolster her personal brand. This is the quote. "Hottest right-wing e-girl taken off the market. Conservative women will use their marriage and family to build their brand." This is her, this is a tweet here. "Hottest right-wing e-girl taken off the market. Conservative women will always use their marriage and family to build their brand." Because part of their brand is like traditional roles. Women has babies. She only works till she meets a husband, right? She's getting an MRS degree, all that shit, right? Sarah from Rift TV responds to Just Pearly Things and says, "Once you stop getting ran through by black guys, it could happen to you too." Sounds like a Burt Lynch quote. Once you stop getting run through by black guys, it could happen to you too. Stock took the bait and fired back with a racially charged dig about Davis's sex life. "Why stop here, Sarah?" Just Pearly Things responded. "Live stream the wedding." Yet another pro-Trump influencer wanted in on the drama, replying to Davis's post, occasional Fox News contributor Emily Wilson, which is, her name is Emily Saves America on Twitter. Emily Wilson, Emily Saves America, made a post that would whip up some dispute into full-fledged war. The ring size, she put with like a laughing till a skeleton emoji. The ring size, a skull. Wilson and Stock have a history. Stock wrote a blog post for Rift TV in May that ripped Wilson for not being MAGA enough because she had questioned the trad wife movement, which is a subculture that embraces traditional gender roles. Trad wife. She is spreading a toxic far-left feminist message about homemaking. In general, Stock wrote, "If she were some random liberal, this girl wouldn't matter. But Emily has about 500,000 followers on all her platforms, all people who looked up to her as a face of the conservative MAGA movement." Wilson's dig about the size of Stock's engagement ring seemed to open up the floodgates. For her part, Stock wrote back to Wilson, "Where's your ring, Emily?" So they're fighting over who's engaged, who's not. Where's your ring, though? However, other right-wing influencers were less restrained in their attacks on Wilson, to put it mildly. Morgan Ariel, a fashion designer and right-wing influencer who was fired as a volunteer ambassador for Turning Point USA in 2024 over anti-Semitic posts, wrote to Wilson, "You give it up for free, ho. Might want to sit this one out." So apparently your vagina is to leverage for profits, including but not limited to an engagement ring. You give it up for free, ho. At least you got a ring for putting that pussy down. Wilson responded with an unsubstantiated claim about Ariel's personal life before writing, "But yet somehow, some way, you think you're better than me or anyone on this app." So let's see what that claim is. Here we go. "Morgan, your baby daddy abandoned you. You're raising a bastard child." That was the unsubstantiated claim about Ariel's personal life. Morgan, your baby daddy abandoned you. You're raising a bastard child. But yet, somehow, some way, you think you're better than me or anyone else on this app. You gave it up for free, got left in the dust, and now post rage bait on X to supplement your inadequacy of your monthly child support payments. Emily Saves America has popped into my show? I don't think so. Is that true? I wish I'd have known. Ariel responded by taking things to an even greater extreme. She made a post that flung wild allegations about Wilson's marriage and sexual proclivities without providing any evidence. Well, now we got to go there. Morgan, you are a single mother with a public video admitting that you have HPV. You may want to sit this one out too. You suck black dick and probably have AIDS. Well. Jesus Christ, dude. I apologize to Morgan for calling her a single mother with HPV. It was true, but I went too far. Forgive me, Morgan. Holy shit. The smears against me are always the same every time. Attack me for being a single mom and then lie and say that I have an STD. The devil is just mad that I'm living holy. Get some new material. I'm bored. Oh, and I forgot the other one, that my child is black. Oh, none of this is true. This is the one we were looking for. Morgan, your baby daddy abandoned you, blah, blah, blah. The response. None of that is true, Emily, but unlike you, I don't lie. So here are some facts. You got fingered in the middle of a hotel lobby at a TPUSA event, Turning Points, while everybody watched and there were families around. You brag about having sex with married MAGA dads and doing drugs. You have been completely ran through by both single and married men in the right wing. You call young virgins losers and encourage them to have premarital sex, and you're pro-abortion. You're a disgusting feminist whore with Jezebel spirit who uses filters in all of her videos and lives in rebellion to God while grifting off the conservative movement and simultaneously trashes women who desire to live God-honoring lifestyles because their engagement rings didn't cost enough or their lifestyle isn't flashy enough. But yeah, I'm the one who needs money. You gold-digging hoe. So yes, I am better than you. Interesting. Damn it, bro. You give it up for free, ho. You might want to sit this one out. That's where it started. You got fingered in the middle of a hotel lobby at a TPUSA event. Okay. Arrow responded by taking things to an even greater extreme. She made a post that flung wild allegations about Wilson's marriage and sexual proclivities without providing evidence. Wilson was also targeted by Ian Smith, a MAGA influencer and New Jersey gym owner who made his name by defying a pandemic-era style stay-at-home restrictions and later launched a failed congressional bid. Unwed, childless, Fox News girl boss who complains when women make sourdough now hates on ring size of a happily engaged young woman, he wrote. Congratulations, bozo. You're a feminist. This would be this guy. These are wild, dude. You suck black dick and have AIDS. Congrats, Bozo. You're a feminist. It doesn't look like there was a response to that. Wilson fired back without presenting any evidence, making allegations related to Smith's marriage. Let's read those. Sorry, I'm having to link to all of them. They won't put the juicy ones in the story. Between allegedly cheating on your wife and being caught with a dildo up your ass, killing a teenager with your first 2 DUIs, you really should sit this one out. Everybody's got to sit this one out, guys. Everybody, right? So you were cheating on your wife and you were caught with a dildo up your ass. You also killed a teenager with your first 2 DUIs. You really should shit this one out. Okay? Related to Smith's marriage and referring to the fact that Smith killed a 19-year-old man while he was driving drunk when he was 20. That is true. The drunk driving part's not a lie. As of Wednesday, the Civil War rages on. Wilson poured more fuel in the fire, writing, we might as well grab that one too. It's going to be hard to be trad wife when your man can't even afford a ring. How do you guys expect to have a house, land, multiple kids? Be for real, for real. I hope y'all enjoy working. Sorry, I'm MIA in the Hamptons. Then someone shares this screenshot. Emily Wilson, also known as Emily Saves America, was born on May 28th, 1985. She's 40. Trad wives are supposed to get married between 14 and 18 is the prime age to get married. She also took to Instagram to write, conservative men need to stop being broke and gaslighting women like we don't deserve diamonds and rings. Stock reposted Wilson's words and wrote, they just keep gold digging themselves into a deeper hole. Conservatives men need to stop being broke and gaslighting women like we don't deserve diamonds and rings. So you want me to give up my job, my career, my financial independence, push multiple babies out of my body, cook, clean, and be loyal and a loving feminine wife forever, and y'all can't even afford a nice ring for us? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Just admit y'all literally don't like women. The Daily Beast has reached out to Stock, Davis, and Ariel and Smith for comment via their social media accounts. I don't think they, I don't know that they got any social media. This is insane, dude. Holy shit. Pretty wild, right? Also, they're having, while this is going on, it's a good distraction because it makes me laugh, but we shouldn't let it distract from the Epstein list. So while all this was going on, the White House is having secret Epstein meetings at J.D. Vance's house.
A little bit more on the Epstein story. We have some news that probably when this is being uploaded, the dinner will be happening right now, about a wild dinner that's taking place. J.D. Vance at his residence, there it is, and top officials to discuss.
Did you hear who the banger was? The finger banger? Is that what you're talking about? What are you talking about, banger?
The Epstein strategy.
And no, I didn't hear.
Know as to what's floating around that's going to be discussed at this dinner is pretty bonkers. Let me play this from Caitlin Collins' show that we'll discuss further.
We have some breaking news this hour as sources are telling CNN that top Trump administration officials are going to meet tomorrow night at the vice president's residence, where we are told that the main focus is going to be the administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case, as well as the need to present a unified front. That meeting is going to include White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, the vice president, of course, J.D. Vance.
Oh, he's super gay. That probably didn't even count.
Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel, and the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who recently sat down with Ghislaine Maxwell. CNN reported earlier that the administration is weighing whether or not to release an audio recording or a transcript of that interview that he did with Maxwell last month. And tonight, sources say that there have also been internal discussions about what exactly Blanche's next step could be, including holding a press conference or doing a high-profile interview, possibly with someone like Joe Rogan, though I should note those conversations.
So this is an emergency. We can't get the story to go away. Let's finally meet and figure out what we're...
So they're going to meet and listen to the tape, the recorded tape, and talk about what they're doing next at J.D. Vance's house, allegedly.
Gonna do. And kind of a crazy revelation out of this is that they're considering, do we release the audio? And I didn't even know, we didn't know for sure, was there audio of that interview between Ghislaine Maxwell and Todd Blanche? They should. Now we already know that if she has one iota of sense in her own self-interest, she's not going to say a peep about Trump because she's trying to court Trump for a pardon or for some form of clemency. But still, hearing it would be obviously interesting. But there's audio. And you heard at the end there, Trump aides plan to plead with Joe Rogan to end Epstein crisis.
They're planning to reach out to Joe Rogan to ask him if he can be the official voice on this, that there is no list and everybody just needs to move on.
So they're like, what are we going to do? One of the things I guess they're going to talk about at dinner is, do we do a Joe Rogan interview and try to settle things there? And this is a crisis. They're having a crisis dinner to figure out we thought we could just wait our way out of this controversy, but that's not working. So yeah, top Trump officials will discuss Epstein's strategy at Wednesday dinner hosted by Vance.
If Joe Rogan believes any of the fucking conspiracy shit that he says he does, he'll tell him to fucking kick rocks. Right? I'm not going to end this for you. Like, we want the list.
And then you have James
or the
Comer
documents.
issuing subpoenas for full Epstein files to DOJ, and then is demanding depositions from the Clintons. But look at the list of people that he's subpoenaing. Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Merrick Garland, Bill Barr, Alberto Gonzalez, Jeff Sessions, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, James Comey, Robert Mueller. Notably, Trump's not on that list. Notably, the prosecutor who negotiated Epstein's sweetheart deal is not on that list. Who was Trump's former labor secretary?
Acosta.
So the guy responsible for the sweetheart deal, he's not on it. But we're going to get the Clintons, which if there's anything to find out about the Clintons, I want to find it out too. I don't care if they're Democrats. But you do care if they're Republicans, obviously. You have Virginia Giuffre's family responding to news of this meeting, saying we understand that Vice President J.D. Vance will hold a strategy session this evening at his residence with administration officials. Missing from this group is, of course, any survivor of the vicious crimes of convicted perjurer and sex trafficker Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And they've been just repeatedly, and they go on to say this, expressing their disgust, understandably, with that seeming deal made with Ghislaine Maxwell to transfer her to the minimum security prison. They are doing this because it won't go.
The Justice Department has been basically scrubbing through, reviewing, redacting this audio, allegedly. That's what Justice Department officials have said. And there's 10 hours of fucking audio. 10 hours.
Away. There was a Washington Post report, though, just kind of round this out, saying that in the right wing.
Yes, somebody should talk to Acosta and be like, why the fuck did you give him a non-prosecution agreement as well as any unnamed co-conspirators? What the fuck?
Media world, it has quieted down a little bit. It's not gone, but it's quieted down. So I'm worried they might come to the conclusion, hey, it's already kind of starting to quiet down. Let's just keep playing this weird game where we all have different stories and Trump makes it worse every single time. And let's just continue forward with that. Now, a candidate for governor in California made an ad that's all about Trump's Epstein connection.
Trump responded to this when they asked, like, why did you send your personal lawyer down there? And he's like, oh, well, Blanche wanted to ensure that people who aren't involved with this are not hurt. That would be very unfair.
And to understand the pretext of it, it kind of is a response to...
I think the Acosta should be there immediately because unnamed co-conspirators is unheard of for a sex trafficking charge, right? Unnamed co-conspirator. What the fuck? How many? Who? Maybe they were worse than you than this. They can still be co-conspirators, but you just wiped out all the crime that this guy committed up to that day. And any of his friends.
So this ad that the Trump campaign ran a bunch against Kamala.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
By the way, click the subscribe button if you appreciate this show. It's free. You just bop it, and then you're helping us algorithmically.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery. For prisoners. For prisoners. Every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the liberal media was shocked Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners and illegal aliens.
Every transgender inmate would have access.
Kamala's for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Yeah, so the policy that was being referenced there, by the way, was in the law on the books under Trump too. So if you have a problem with it, you would have to be mad at him too, which was a point that was made. But regardless, whatever, it did end up being an effective ad and apparently made a big difference, shockingly, in the election, given that is not a niche issue. It's not a niche of a niche issue. It's a niche of a niche of a niche issue. And that's swaying. All right.
Same policy under Trump, right? If you were trans, you had medical attention while you're in prison.
Right. Who the hell cares? I can't apparently convince anyone of anything. But then someone did an ad that said they're Trump's for they, them, like Ghislaine and Epstein, and he's for you. And this is Stephen Klubeck, a billionaire who's running for governor in California.
Can you tell us about their friendship?
It's laughable that it wasn't a good friendship, if not his best friend.
It's been reported that Trump invited Epstein to his wedding.
Weddings are super close friends and family. It's hard to believe, but it's true. Even the conservative media is shocked.
We also found this photo of Donald Trump with two of his children talking to Jeffrey Epstein.
Were some of the partners that were taken from you young women? The answer is yes.
Trump is for they, them. Stephen Klubeck is for you.
That's good. That's funny. I get it. That's good. Sorry, I zoned out completely.
Leon Black.
I'm out. I'm done. Goodbye.
And Wexler.
Yeah. Okay. One of those days. I appreciate all of you so much. That is the show, actually. And if you're a podcast listener, please do rate and review, and I'll talk to you all next time.
Damn. This just popped up. I don't know what it is, but we're about to watch it. This is from CoffeeZilla. Let's see. It says she cleared Trump.
Ghislaine Maxwell has cleared Donald Trump's name while awaiting her pardon. This is new from ABC. Ghislaine Maxwell told DOJ Trump never did anything concerning around her. Now, notably, Trump has been asked whether he's going to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell before he said he wishes her well.
I just wish her well, frankly. Yeah, I wish you well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well.
Then he's asked if
he's never wished anybody well ever.
Pardon her. He says, well, I'm allowed to do it, but I really haven't thought of it.
I'm allowed to do it, but it's something I have not thought about.
Now, notably, this is very similar to the way Trump has responded previously when talking about people he would later end up pardoning.
I don't want to talk about pardons for Michael Flynn yet. You pardon Paul Manafort? I have not even given it a thought as of this moment.
Did he?
Are you going to pardon him, sir? He's been convicted of felonies.
I'm going to pardon him? Well, I hadn't thought of it.
Now, obviously, he later did pardon Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, and Paul Manafort, and this has all led many people to wonder if a similar thing is in the works for Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, this all comes after 9 hours of Ghislaine Maxwell.
The only reason they would even be considering releasing this tape is that she had to come out and suck Trump's dick, basically. Trump never did that. He likes older women, 40 and above.
Privately speaking to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, he's the former defense attorney for Donald Trump, and this was a private meeting. It's notable that there were talks about doing it publicly in front of Congress, but that got shoved aside pretty quick when they realized they could just do this behind closed doors. Now, Todd Blanche said he was thinking about releasing the transcripts. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, but today we got leaks of what may have been said during the 9 hours where Ghislaine Maxwell told Todd Blanche that Trump had never done anything in her presence that would have caused concern. Now, do we believe this? Well, the challenge is that Ghislaine Maxwell has every reason to lie. She, after all, is looking for a pardon. Her lawyer says right now that she would welcome any relief, and relief is exactly what she got after this testimony, right after the testimony to the DOJ.
They put her in the camp. That's what she got for the camp. That's what she did to get removed to the low security camp.
Where she cleared Trump's name. She got transferred to a less restrictive prison called a minimum security prison, with the Washington Post calling it one of the nation's most lenient lockups for nonviolent women offenders. It's notable she had to get a special waiver to even go to this prison because normally offenders are not allowed. And this is something I really want to hit home. Previously, I've been talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, and we've been talking sort of like, okay, yeah, she trafficked for Jeffrey Epstein. I think it's worth hitting home that she also participated in some of the acts. She is a offender, convicted. And those types of people aren't eligible normally for minimum security prisons. That's why a former warden told the Post, inmates, if they have a offense, are not going to a place like that, period. It's truly unheard of. Quote, it's a country club. Someone gave special preference to Maxwell that, in my knowledge, no other inmate currently serving in the Federal Bureau of Prisons has received. So she is getting special treatment for something. We don't know exactly why she had to get a special waiver for this, though. This is not something that everyone gets. Contradicting this, though, the president has come out and said, oh, this is actually a very normal thing.
Questions for you. One, were you aware of and did you personally approve the prison transfer for Ghislaine Maxwell that your Justice Department?
I didn't know about it at all. No, I read about it just like you did.
And do you believe that she is?
It's not a very uncommon thing.
Do you believe that she's credible to be listening to? Your Deputy Attorney General sat down with her recently.
Well, let me tell you, he's a very talented man.
I'll remind you, the guy he's talking about formerly was his defense attorney. And her question, which never really gets answered, which is, can we trust Ghislaine Maxwell, actually is an important one because previously she was charged with perjury. This was in connection with her 2016 deposition. Perjury just means she was lying under oath. Quote, in 2016, while testifying under oath in a civil proceeding, Maxwell repeatedly made false statements, specifically about certain specific acts and events alleged in the indictment. So, can we trust someone who previously our government charged with making false statements when specifically these false statements may benefit her? I don't know. Maybe you think she's turned a leaf and she suddenly is Mrs. Honesty, but it's worth saying she's already reaping the rewards of the testimony she's given so far. Our president proceeds to talk about how talking to Ghislaine Maxwell is going to help with the fact that we don't want people getting caught up in this that would have their lives hurt.
Whatever he asked would be totally appropriate, and it's not an uncommon thing to do that. And I think he probably wants to make sure that, people that should not be involved or aren't involved are not hurt by something that would be very, very unfortunate, very unfair to a lot of people.
We don't want people getting involved who might be hurt by this, right? That's why we got to talk to her behind closed doors. We got to give her preferential treatment, right? Because we don't want anyone who might have been otherwise implicated in this falsely to get implicated, right? We want to make sure their names, whoever they are, whatever mysterious person they are, do not get implicated in this. And obviously that goal of Maxwell clearing certain people is being achieved here with her now clearing Trump's name with a possible pardon on the line. Now, I do have to say, it could be the case that he didn't have anything to do with it. She is being honest here, but unfortunately the waters are muddied when you have such a transparent conflict of interest in this whole story. Personally, I don't want anyone, Ghislaine Maxwell or any of the elites that are involved, to be let off the hook. In fact, just today we had a bombshell report from the New York Times about Jeffrey Epstein's personal residence where he had pictures with famous people. More letters came out with people like Woody Allen, and all of these people should be investigated. Unfortunately, we are living in a time where a select few of these people have so much power over the investigators of it. Maybe instead of giving preferential treatment to sex offenders, we should just release the Epstein files and see where that gets us.
Damn. Maybe so. Jesus Christ, this seems crazy. Obviously, she's already come out and said, oh no, Trump never did anything bad. Never, never.
Donald Trump just had a meeting in the Oval Office where it just is not even, it couldn't be more clear that he is decomposing in real time and he is flailing, trying to say and do anything he can to distract from the fact that he is in the Epstein files, he won't release them, and he clearly is losing his grip on reality. Now, something else happened in the Oval Office yesterday that I've been thinking a lot about and has been so disappointing. Tim Cook met with Donald Trump. Tim Cook, if you don't know, is the CEO of Apple, one of the greatest companies to ever exist, in my opinion, and this is what he did.
This box is made in the U.S., California, and this glass comes off the Corning line. It's engraved for President Trump. It's a unique unit of one. It was designed by a U.S. Marine Corps corporal, a former one, that works at Apple now. Designed it for you. And the base comes from Utah and is 24 karat gold, and it sits, I'll take the liberty of setting it up. Well, there we go. Congratulations, Mr. President. Thank you so much.
The great people of Kentucky. You're going to find it a great place to do business, too. That's fantastic.
So Tim Cook bent the knee to Donald Trump, handed him a 24 karat gold award for being a good president. I cannot believe this is Steve Jobs' Apple. And I actually wrote Tim Cook a letter. I'm sure he's not going to read it. You can email him, too. It's tcook@apple.com. Disappointed what you did with Trump has ruined the Apple brand for me. Apple should be defending the things that make America great and made Apple possible. Instead, you support the erosion of it. It must be nice to topple the rest of us drown. I'm sure he's getting a lot of emails. You can, again, email him at timcook@apple.com. And I don't know what to say. I've had every iPhone. I have had Macintosh computers, Apple computers since I was 19 or 20. And I just can't believe this is what Steve Jobs would have done if he were up against an authoritarian dictator trying to take over our country. And who, by the way, is turning it gayer than Liberace. Look at this. There's gold. It's not real gold. It's just like painted gold crap that he's putting all over the White House. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And it is extremely, extremely flamboyant. And I can say that I'm gay. So take that. Take that, alpha males. All right. Now, Mike Pence, who is not gay, question mark, is attacking Donald Trump over his tariff problem. Ford paid $800 million in tariffs. We talked about this yesterday, actually this morning. Ford paid $800 million in tariff costs over 3 months, despite building most of its cars in America. This is hurting American companies, these tariffs. And it's one of the reasons why Scott Bessent, who's also gay, well, it's a gay episode. Scott Bessent, who can't really talk about tariffs in a truthful way. Watch him try to avoid the fact that he knows that tariffs are paid by the importer, not by the country.
Some confusion. So we've got a tariff of 50% on Brazil now, I think. And so if someone here, an importer, wants to buy Brazilian products today or tomorrow and import them, they're going to pay 50% to the Treasury. And so who writes that check?
Well, a couple of things. First, we could have substitutions, so there's very little that only comes from Brazil. It could come from Argentina. It could come from.
But assuming it does come from Brazil, say, or it comes from any country with a tariff, who writes the check to the Treasury?
Well, the check is written to the person who receives it at the dock in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. The check is written by the person who receives it at the dock. So the tariff is paid in this country by the importer. Is that right?
But the Brazilian
Oh, God, he's dying.
Exporter could decide that they want to keep market share. They could lower their price so that the full 50% of the tariff, say, and
they can eat part of the cost.
So he doesn't deny the fact that we pay for it. We pay for it. I will not stop saying it. If you get sick of hearing it, well, I'm going to stop saying it the second that we stop getting taxed. We stop getting taxed. The right is celebrating the fact that we're raising $30 billion a month from tariffs. That's us. That's us paying for it. A tax that did not exist before. Now, Donald Trump is also in the Oval Office today. Look at the fucking gold plating. It's awful. With a quack economist trying to justify why he hired this commission.
Mr. George. Thank you, Mr. President. So I called the president because I had some very good news from some new data that we've been able to put together that no one has ever seen before, and I'll just very quickly go through these. So I was telling the president that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. That's Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And I don't know if she's, I'm not.
It might not have been an error. That's the bad part. If it was an error, it would be one thing.
Trying to justify why he hired this commission.
Mr. George. Thank you, Mr. President. So I called the president because I had some.
Sorry, I wanted to hear it again.
Some new data that we've been able to put together that no one has ever seen before, and I'll just very quickly go through these. So I was telling the president that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. That's Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And 2 years of the Biden. So I was telling the president that he did the right thing in calling for a new head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, because this shows that over the last 2 years of the Biden administration, the BLS overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. That's Mr. President, that's a gigantic error. And I don't know if she's, I'm not.
It might not have been an error. That's the bad part. If it was an error, it would be one thing. I don't think it's an error. I think they did it purposely.
Whether that, you may well be right, but even if it wasn't purposefully, it's incompetence.
Right.
This is not a gigantic error. He says, he doesn't say error. He says error. These are estimations. They update the estimations when they have new information. These are extremely small numbers in context. Yeah, these are very 1.4 million. There's 300 million people here. And that's kind of what science and, I don't know, statistics are about. Data collection. And as you get more data, you reassess your findings.
So here's how this works. Let's say they reach out to 500 businesses, okay? They probably reach out to more of those, but let's say they reach out to 5 these core businesses. They give a good sample of how the market's doing. Some of those businesses respond right by the date they had to put the report out. Others don't, right? So they take the businesses that have responded, which a lot of times businesses that immediately respond are happy, right? They're like, oh, yeah, we're doing great. We're doing this. We're doing that. Yeah, everything's awesome so far. We've been hiring people. We've been doing this. Over time, this is on their website as a disclaimer every time they publish numbers. Over time, the rest of the businesses end up reaching back out. Maybe they complain. Maybe they say it's doing good. That's how they revise those numbers. Okay? So they throw a net out. And let's say 60% of businesses reach out before it's published. As the other 40% come in, they take those into the calculations and revise those numbers. No one's lying. No one's making it up. It's a timetable thing.
There's nothing unusual about it. It's crazy that he had an economist come in with a bogus chart to try to make his decision look good. Now, Donald Trump was also asked about Vladimir Putin and his deadline, and what you won't believe what Taco said.
Is your deadline for Vladimir Putin agreeing to a ceasefire still stand tomorrow? Is that fluid now that talks are... What? Is your deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him. We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed, yeah.
Do you think that is making Vladimir Putin shaking his boots? The fact that Donald Trump is saying, that it's up to him now, that the red line he set, if Vladimir Putin crosses it, do you think that he's worried about what Donald Trump's going to do? I don't know. I don't think so. Donald Trump doesn't stick to anything other than the fact that he keeps pillaging the country for his own gain. Well, another day in America. Thank you for being here. If you liked the video, please hit like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing.
Imagine firing the person that brings you the bad news. It might be a bad idea to fire the guy who brings you the bad news. Obviously, it's a bad idea. No one's going to want to bring you bad news. Can we ever trust these numbers again? Who the fuck knows? Mark Maron.
But the thing with Joe,
it creates yes man. That's his other own.
The thing with Joe, is I don't know that we have a lot to talk about because of my idea of what he's done to comedy.
Sure.
And I don't think it's great. I think that it's tribalized, and I think that he's created a sort of army of people that think they know comedy, but they only know a specific thing. And what
this is the entire Rogan sphere he's calling out.
They think is good is not necessarily
all the Rogan comedians.
So it seems that Mark Maron has reignited his decades-long beef with Joe Rogan and his group of comedic assassins, as he just called them out on 2 separate podcasts in the span of a week. And Mark Maron's not just going after these guys because he doesn't like them. As he puts it, he has...
I do really hate some of the comedians that Joe Rogan has just said, well, this guy's funny, and then everybody thinks they're famous now. What the fuck?
Reasonable criticism for them.
It's reasonable criticism.
Reasonable criticism.
Yeah. Like in his most recent special, Panicked, Mark actually spends a good portion of time calling out the anti-woke comedy scene that Rogan's forged in Austin, criticizing them for normalizing slurs, punching down at marginalized groups, and overall platforming dangerous ideas.
Pterodactyl arms? You're supposed to put that nigga on the grill. He ain't even supposed to live.
And if you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you go watch that entire special. But to give you an idea of what he talks about in that special, here's him poking fun at the idea of Theo Von having Adolf Hitler on his podcast, and what exactly that would sound like.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Von's podcast.
Ooh.
And Theo would be like, so y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis were all fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog.
So now he's on a podcast press tour for that new special, and he's sent shots left and right at the entire Rogan sphere. Like in his recent Bad Friends episode, he goes at Rogan in a pretty hilarious and major way, roasting him for leading an army of enlightened meatheads, and predicting that they'll run out of material pretty quickly, since the majority of jokes that they tell are pretty surface-level jabs at marginalized groups that they've completely beaten into the ground. Like if you know anything about this Rogan era of comedy, you'd know that they do this quite frequently. Like to this day, they're probably still making COVID-19 jokes, and Mark Maron considers this shtick to be hack.
But yeah, me and who else? Rogan. Okay.
Who's that?
Joe Rogan.
Joseph Rogan?
Yeah, he's out of Texas.
Oh, Texas. Got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Got it.
Yeah. You love Austin, don't you? He's running half the planet out of Texas. Yeah. He's got a tight hold on the enlightened meatheads.
Dude, Maron's disdain.
It's not disdain. It's reasonable criticism.
Reasonable criticism.
Yeah.
When's the last time you spoke with him?
I don't know. That's a good question. I guess it would have been at the store. I never talked to him in Austin. I don't go into the club. I don't really think I'm on his radar. So
something tells me you are.
Oh yeah,
something tells me you are.
I don't. It's weird that you get lumped into a certain thing, and maybe it's my assumption that his army of healthy fellas.
Is that their title? Army of healthy fellas is so good.
No, you just got to got to stay and keep the machine.
The machine's got to be good.
Yeah.
That's a shot at Bert. Go ahead.
What do you think the Austin shelf life is going to be?
Well, I don't know. Like, I think that it's so effectively tribalized at this point. It really comes down to material. I mean, at what point, it's like whatever they represented in terms of policy. And it's not a stretch. It's like they won. Trans people are frightened. They have no ability to get health care anymore, and they're afraid of being alive and have no freedom left. So that's done. When do you stop with the jokes? Like immigrants. Okay, well they're being ripped away from their homes, and they're all terrified. And okay, so that's done. When do you stop with the jokes?
Right.
I mean, it's one thing to pick on the vulnerable and the marginalized, but I mean they're down.
Yeah.
I mean, like, why do you got to keep hitting them? Unless you're a hack. Now, there's a question.
Mark,
He comes in swinging.
Yeah.
Another issue that Mark has with Joe Rogan was one that Mark's had a problem with.
They're close with Joe Rogan, by the way. That was brave going on there. They're pretty close.
He is supposed to be for the quote-unquote sensitive weirdos, not necessarily for the high school locker room bullies that Joe Rogan's ushered in. And even though I don't fully agree with this stance, since to me, if you're funny, you're funny, it is a stance that I've seen other comics take. Like when Tim Dillon was calling out Brendan Schaub right after he released his insult of a comedy special, Gringo Poppy.
When I watch Brendan do that, it's like I go, here's a big, tough guy who I should just see in a Ferrari, and he should be able to rip people's faces off with his catcher mid hands. And I see him running around the stage going, oh! I go, you're gay now. You've become gay. Why are you gay?
He was a fucking knight. He was a knight.
He's a knight.
And now he's a jester.
Now he's gay.
He's a gay jester.
He's a gay man. He's a fully gay man. When you watch the special, he's like, woo!
So Mark's main issue with this is that the weirdo alt comics have sort of been pushed to the side in recent times. And when Mark brings this point up to Bobby Lee, he actually gets him to join in on trashing Austin comics, which was just great to see.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
So, and the bigger problem about what you're saying, I think we all still do exist, but the nature of the comedy business is fragmented and some of it's tribalized. But there used to be a lot more weirdos around who were kind of exciting and interesting and took it a different place. I would argue with just talky talk comedy, there's not that many people bringing it to a different place, dude.
Right. Well, there is some good ones that, like, I think that kid Casey Rocket's really entertaining and fun and different.
Yeah.
And I think they're there, right? Yeah. I think the problem is there's so much sludge, there's so much shit, there's way more noise than we've ever fucking seen. Yeah. So it's hard to appreciate or even care because all that's really being shown is kind of the constant like give it to him, give it to him, give it to him, give it to him. So I get.
I'm tired of the attitude.
I thought you were going to say violence in this country.
No. I'm tired. They come up back to LA. One guy, I want to name his name, I go, oh, you seem like you're thriving. He goes, I'm killing it.
Killing it,
You know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa, dude. You moved out.
Oh, that's Tony Hinchcliffe. I could tell by the impression.
One guy, I want to name his name, I go, oh, you seem like you're thriving. He goes, I'm killing it.
Killing it,
You know what I mean? And I'm like, whoa, dude. You moved out because you couldn't survive here.
Yeah.
This is a different...
It's an animal.
It's an animal.
Well, I think the weirdos you're referring to, by the way, were birthed, and I defend this till I'm fucking blue in the face, were birthed at the Comedy Store. Yeah. And I think I always push, I was like, people don't know that about the store. They think they hear this like corporate bro, and that happens internally in LA a lot too, where they're like, the store is a fucking, whatever, sellout factory of fucking bro comics. Because
Not anymore.
No, but there was a wash of it that came through, and I think...
Yeah, Joe, they moved to Austin.
But
And real quick here, just based on the voice inflection that Bobby was doing there, I'm almost certain that he was talking about Tony Hinchcliffe. I mean, it's 100% something Tony would say, too.
Oh, you seem like you're thriving. He goes, I'm killing it.
So, yeah, just an all-around hilarious episode of Bad Friends that I highly suggest you go watch the entire...
Oh, Erica Saves America. That is, that's what's her name that does the Phil stuff and puts a filter on him. She puts like a big nose filter on him and then just replays his stream on Rumble.
Episode of. One thing that this podcast was missing, though, was the larger, more political reasons that Mark Maron called out right-wing podcasters in his special for. But luckily for us, he actually explained it in detail in the Vulture podcast he did nearly 10 days ago, calling out Joe Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe by name, which even if you don't agree with anything Maron says, you have to...
Sorry, I just sneezed.
Calls them out by name here, as most comics are too afraid to seriously go after Joe Rogan in this sort of fashion. But anyways, in this podcast, Mark Maron explains that he's going after these guys because they essentially sided with Trump solely because he was more pro-speech than the other option. But now that he's in office and has acted on these policies, it's almost as if they're acting shocked that he's doing anything like that. I mean, just the other day, Andrew Schultz posted this screenshot to his story reacting to the Trump administration not mandating IVF care. I mean, this sort of thing is happening every day in the Roganverse at this point, and Mark touches on that in this Vulture podcast.
And
wait, wasn't he all for IVF stuff?
Rogan and Hinchcliffe and just a lot of these
every day. Just the other day, Andrew Schultz posted.
You don't want to break your word. You don't break your word breaks you. Trump promised to mandate IVF care. The White House says there's no plans to do so.
Screenshot to his story reacting to the Trump administration not mandating IVF care. I mean, this sort of thing is happening every day in the Roganverse at this point, and Mark touches on that in this Vulture podcast.
And Rogan and Hinchcliffe and just a lot of these people just locked into this anti-woke thing.
What's the anti-Phil girl's name? I forget now. She's the one that was in the thing and got Phil to speak Chinese to her or whatever, and she does the stream where you can go watch it, and they just put a filter on it and play it over. Erica something.
Now, the government, which is for all practical,
the father of IVF, that's right,
intents and purposes, is an authoritarian government, and we have
Erica Badu, but she has like what is her name? Does she like people? Not her actual name. What she goes by?
Fairly dominant fascist
on TikTok and stuff, or
language, which is
Telegram and stuff,
to dismantle all progressive institutions. And whether you like it or not, or whether that's not what you signed up for, you tied yourself to that horse. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. And and that's it's not even a matter of unforgivable. It just is what it is. So you can backpedal all you want, but this is the reality: is that democracy was squashed because of the policy of using anti-woke to dismantle the liberal democratic state is something you didn't shut up about. Yeah. Maybe it wasn't the same thing. Well, I just wanted to say the art. Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. And look, I think a lot of them were just like wanted to land on the side where they could earn a living. It's challenging.
For years, Joe Rogan has acted like the small guy that the media likes to pile on top of, as if he was the victim, just because he wasn't allowed to make jokes about marginalized groups. But now that they've sort of won that small victory with Trump, they can't play the victim card anymore. Also, in this next clip, Mark plainly states again that whenever...
Yeah, she's kind of, I don't know. She doesn't like me.
Rogan guy makes a joke punching down at trans or gay people or anything of that nature, that it's simply just hack. And it's only offensive because of how unfunny it is.
And in that thing, it's that point now where it's like you don't have the victim position anymore. You have the dominant position. So why keep kicking? Because it's hackneyed. That you walk through a comedy club, or you go to some in certain cities where it's like there's a prerequisite to do a trans joke. There's a prerequisite to do an R-word joke. There's a prerequisite to push the edge in a very non-risky way.
Yeah. To not push a boundary, but act like you are.
And act like your voice is somehow dangerous.
Uber MAGA.
There's nothing less dangerous. It's boring.
Yeah. To say what people want you to say is not doing it.
And those particular people.
Yeah.
So pretty much for years, everyone thought that Mark Maron hated Joe Rogan and was just jealous of him. Because up until now, most of his critiques for Rogan were pretty surface level. Like he resented Rogan's athletic background, his overwhelming success, and had an ongoing podcast rivalry with him. Rogan was almost like the more popular version of Maron. And Maron actually confronted Joe on these very issues all the way back in 2011, which at the time felt as if Mark were simply just jealous of Joe.
When I first saw you, I had this problem with guys who were athletically oriented or had some sort of athletic nature about them before they came into comedy. And I remember that you and Kevin Flynn, he was like a soccer guy, and you were a kickboxing champion. And there was part of me that was like, this is not for them. This is not their world. Why are they here? Why don't they stay in their competitive world?
Well, that's silly.
Well, of course it's silly. But you were sort of a cocky fuck then, weren't you?
I don't know. First of all, if you're not around someone like that and all of a sudden you're around some guy and you hear this guy's a martial arts champion and now he's doing comedy, I would probably feel the same thing. Like, this is fucking guy invading our spot and ruining our vibe.
In this podcast, Mark also admitted that he felt that Joe doing Fear Factor disqualified him from being a comedy authority, implying that doing a show so out of sync with thoughtful or serious comedy should have knocked Rogan off any moral or artistic high ground.
That your television career, not news radio particularly, but Fear Factor was antithetical to who you are now, and that I thought it was hard for me to accept that you were able to stand in a position of judgment of what comedy is or isn't, having done Fear Factor and the impact it had on the comedy business and television.
That's an interesting angle, and I gotta think that angle's got to be coming from some weird animosity that you might have had to me already before this. Because first of all, I mean, how many sitcom writers are really comics? It's very few.
Well, a lot of them started as comics. I'm just saying in comedy in general.
You can't say that that's taking away jobs because it's an economic issue, and if I wasn't hosting it, someone else would have hosted it.
So after that 2011 interview, a lot of fans of the podcast came to the conclusion that Mark was just jealous of Joe. But now, fast forward to 2025, and it almost seems like Mark's criticisms of Joe are becoming more valid by the day. And now, instead of having animosity or disdain for Joe, Mark labels it as a reasonable criticism. So at the end of the day, whether you think Mark Maron is bitter or just finally saying what a lot of comics won't, his beef with Joe Rogan has taken a new level of depth. Like it started as a personal rivalry, but now it's evolved into this broader cultural clash, with both these guys representing two very different versions of what comedy should be. But anyways, with that being said, that's pretty much it for the video. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below what your thoughts are on this entire thing.
Damn. I'm glad he called him out. The weird bro culture is strange over there. And it's not like Rogan just makes comedians too. Any comedian that's coming up, he latches onto. Like, Rogan had nothing to do with Shane Gillis, and now look how he's latched onto him. And you can't blame Shane Gillis because that just helps his career, right? What the fuck's he supposed to do about it? But yeah, there you go. Yeah, it is what it is, I guess. What else? So there's something else I was gonna play. That's some YouTube drama. Oh, I gotcha. That's some YouTube drama with Wishland Diesel.
Trans
But
Republican
this is a
in Utah, State Senator J. Stewart Adams apparently helped to change a law to try to keep his relative out of jail for the rape of a 13-year-old.
Here's what I want to say about this. This is horrible. This guy's a piece of shit. He shouldn't have done this. But the law is not retroactive. And his relative was already convicted, was not tried under this law. I don't think he tried to change this law to get his relative off the hook. I think the reason that he supported this law and put it in place and voted on it and sponsored it was because this happened to his relative. So basically, his 18-year-old nephew or something raped a 13-year-old. So after that happened and he was convicted, this guy went to Congress in Utah, or the legislature in Utah, and said, let's change the law to where if you're 18-year-old but you're still in high school and you have sex with a 13-year-old, there's a second option besides just, this rape. And you don't have to register on a list, and we'll just charge it with like a higher level sexual deviant bullshit. Like, it's crazy.
A child. Now, Adams, of course, swears now that he neither requested nor helped draft the 2024 law that aided his relative, but did ask for the relative's rape charges to be reconsidered in light of the new law, and guess what? He got his wish. Utah state law says that people under the age of 14 are not allowed to give consent for sex. The old statute required that 18-year-olds receive the first-degree child rape felony charge for having sex with anyone under 13 years.
Maybe he's giving me new information that I don't know about.
Age or younger. Okay. The felony charge also required the rapist to register as a sex offender. The new law, however, allows accused rapists 18 years old and younger to receive a reduced third-degree felony charge of unlawful sexual activity if they're still enrolled in high school. And, of course,
by the way, in Utah already, 14 is the age of consent. 14, 1-4. And this guy's still trying to fuck 13-year-olds? Basically, it has to do with if they were enrolled in high school at the time. If they're enrolled in high school, then you can get just this lesser charge. Oh, wait. Adam's family member was in high school at the time, and although the law was not made retroactive, the 18-year-old still went from facing years in prison to accepting a plea deal for reduced charges and no jail time beyond the week he already served after the initial arrest. While Adams swears his family member's charges had nothing to do with his pushing of a rule change, the prosecution, defense, and judge alike all acknowledged that it played a major role in changing the charges. The victim's family was devastated. It was out of nowhere. The middle schooler's mother told the Salt Lake Tribune, I felt like I was punched in the gut. I feel like the law is the law, regardless of who you are, but that wasn't what was going on here. I feel like Adam's relative just got special treatment and nobody was going to say anything about it. Holy fuck.
also allow them to avoid jail time and avoid having to register as a sex offender. Of course. Now, before the new law passed, Adam's relative was charged with 2 counts of child rape and 2 counts of child sodomy, all first-degree felonies, and faced up to 25 years.
By the way, if you get off early and you don't watch the rest of this video, Trump is reassigning FEMA agents to ICE. They are probationary employees for FEMA. They've been on administrative leave basically since Trump did the massive layoff, and he's reassigning them to ICE. The purpose of this memorandum is to notify you that due to the mission requirements of the department, you will be reassigned to the position of ICE agent effective August 5th, 2025. The position is located at the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office, located in blank. You will receive a new position description and information about the new position separately. You may either accept or decline this MDR within 7 calendar days from the receipt of this letter. If you do not respond, FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security will consider your non-response as acceptance of the directed reassignment. If you choose to decline this reassignment or accept but fail to report for duty, you may be subject to removal from federal service as provided in 5 U.S.C. 7513.
To life in prison, as well as a lifetime on the sex offender registry. The relative's plea deal with the state prosecutors had reportedly reached an impasse prior to this law being passed, according to the Salt Lake Tribune. The new law was then drafted by the relative's defense attorney, Kara Tangaro, and sponsored by Senate Majority Leader Kirk Cullimore, after Adams reportedly confided in him about his relative's legal charges. So this guy has a meeting with the Senate Majority Leader and talks about, oh man, you know, my relative is facing some really bad charges, but don't worry, there's this bill, right? And if you were to advance that bill, I'd really, really appreciate it. And that's exactly what happened. The new law, SB 213, had adjusted various criminal sentences to address what they call unintended consequences or overly harsh or unfair outcomes in various criminal charges, Tangaro said. In this case, the accused rapist, she said, had participated in unlawful...
This is disgusting, dude. I don't give a fuck if you are in high school. A 13-year-old? The age of consent is 14, dude. 14 in that state.
Adolescent sexual activity or the rape of a child, but hadn't been accused of using force, coercion, or other violent or manipulative means that would...
Well, I think he knows that a lot of them will decline it or not report for duty. And right now, they're kind of in limbo. They don't know if they're allowed to be fired or not. So they're on administrative leave. Do they find something out? But this would be a good way to say they refused the assignment, so that's why they were fired, not trying to shut down FEMA.
Support more serious charges of rape, sodomy, or sexual assault. Attorneys pointed out that under the old law, if the accused rapist had been 17, his victim had been 14 instead of 13, the accused rapist would have been charged with a Class D misdemeanor rather than felony charges. Well, I mean, that makes a difference, though. That 18-year-old was having sex with a 13-year-old. That is statutory rape. They cannot consent. And you could also make the argument that this older man might have also engaged in grooming. You know, a groomer. I don't know the details of that, though. I don't know if he had specifically groomed this 13-year-old for sexual activity. I don't know. That said, the changes to the bill passed, and on March 19th, 2024, Utah Governor Spencer Cox had signed the bill into law. 2 months later, Tangaro informed Judge Michael DeRea, the judge who was then presiding over the case, that the accused rapist's plea deal would be changed in light of this new law. As a result, the accused rapist ended up avoiding jail time and a life...
Which shouldn't be the case. He was tried under laws in the books. He was arrested under laws in the books. He should face the penalty as laws on the books.
Time on the sexual offender registry.
This really... I don't even think he cared so much about the guy going to jail for like a year or whatever it might have been. The big deal is registering for the rest of your fucking life.
Yeah. Adams, according to the state's legislative database, voted for SB 213, which passed almost entirely on party lines. All Senate Republicans voted for it. There was one Democrat that voted for it as well. Whereas
How the fuck could you vote for this? No 18-year-old in high school. I understand they're still kids. I understand they're still stupid. If they slip and fall into a 13-year-old, fuck them. Like, I'm a big proponent of like, oh, well, you know, they were dating, you know, one of them's 19, one of them's 17. That's not, they shouldn't be charged, right? They're dating, they've been dating, you know, they're in a relationship, whatever. 13-year-olds is where we're at now.
The rest of the Democrats who were present voted against it. Adams' relative then received a second-degree felony charge, which reduced his sentence quite a bit. In fact, he will only serve about 4 years probation, have to complete sex offender treatment, pay a $1,500 fine, and perform 120 hours of community service, which is a lot better for him than a possible 25 to life in prison. Okay, so you know, here we are, though. Republicans clearly not protecting women and girls from predators. In fact, they're actually doing more to protect the predators from harsh sentences, which tracks completely. Now, how does the victim feel about this? Well, according to the unnamed victim's mother, she believes that the legal process has failed them. The mother said that the sexual abuse has made her child, an 8th grade student, more withdrawn, more careful, and less interested in being around her friends. Okay, the mother and child feel really defeated through this entire process, said the victim's attorney, Tamara Basquez. She told the judge presiding over the case, following the lighter sentencing for the accused child rapist, quote, she feels like there's no protection for the innocence of her child and that there's a disregard for how it has really affected them. They feel that there hasn't been adequate consequences for any of the underlying conduct. The legal sentencing change was out of nowhere. I felt like I was punched in the gut. I feel like a law is the law, regardless of who you are. But that wasn't what was going on here. I feel like the 18-year-old just got special treatment, and nobody was going to say anything about it. Well, that's because that person, that predator, who happened to be a relative of a very powerful state congressman, one who, funny enough, had joined in with other Republicans to attack transgender people. That's right. Several months after voting for SB 213,
Can't have them in their bathrooms.
Adams and other Utah state Republican leaders had issued a statement claiming that they were very, very concerned about the safety of women and girls in the context of transgender sports. Oh, of course, here we go. Transgender sports. Again, the gateway that predators are using to attack transgender people, while at the same time protecting actual predators. Of course. They said female athletes deserve the right to a safe playing field, fair competition, and equal opportunity. Institutions across the nation have failed to take action, thereby undermining vital protections and putting female athletes at risk. Bro, you do not care about athletes or protecting women and girls. Specifically, the Republican Party is currently protecting pedophiles. That is the reality here. Okay? Remember, this is the party that promotes child marriage. They constantly talk about how teen girls should get married young. That's right. They should really be focused on getting a husband instead of, going and getting an education. Oh, no, we don't like that. No, don't get an education. Your only education is how to please your husband. That's right. You should get married young and have babies. The 15 and 16-year-olds, that's when they're the most fertile. So that's when they should get married. But this is the same party that looks at any woman past the age of 30 and calls them useless and washed up. Seriously, how the hell can anyone not see that the current Republican Party is the pedo protection party? That's what they are. All this crap about, we got to go after the groomers and the pedophiles. All that was just projection to go after the transgender community. That's it. It ain't trans people or drag queens that are grooming the kids or protecting the pedophiles. No, it's Republicans. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time, it seems like everybody is shut down, become a member on our YouTube page, become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/
There you go, guys. Fucking protecting pedos. I don't know what to tell you. I guess. Thank y'all for joining us. I wanted to come on here so you guys didn't think I disappeared. I didn't really feel like it. I got a funeral coming up, and I'll be at that. Yeah, get to that. It's at a church. I haven't been able to go to a funeral home, really, since my parents passed. But this is just a celebration of life, and it's at a church. So hopefully that goes well. And then that's on Tuesday. But I'll be back here tomorrow if you want to join us. Thank you all. Support the show if you want to. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the fork and balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are and tell them the rest of the world who they are. You don't have the fork and balls. You don't have the balls.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
And they say that I'm a lunatic. Well, listen, bitch, I came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believers? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord, head to the extreme. All these false fucking prophets who profit off of gossip. Worshipping drums, cocking, begging for a throat deposit. Swinging fucking meat hammers like fool in a thong. He's strapped to the shaft, eating his chest like in King Kong. Starving for attention, I'ma make your gut burst. I'll be your huckleberry, I can quench that thirst. Baby eating lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk. A retard in a vest, climbing up 5G towers. Cause you told him if he did, he'd get fucking superpowers.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Opened his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped it to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16. High on amphetamine, with Trump in between. Put on a light coat of baby oil and saluted the troops. He tapped me on the shoulder and said, "This is gonna be it."
Whoa, wait. Stop. What?
I'll get my files.
Wait, what are you doing?
It's it.
Stop. Fucking stop. Dude, come on. Seriously.
This is my mom's an alcoholic.
Oh, give me a... Oh, my God.
Damn it. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in them bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet.
Round 3.